God, hold me down, I will shine, yeah. My God, watch me shine. Whoa, whoa, I'm gonna shine. Whoa, you know I gotta shine. Watch me shine.
It is time to shine, kings and queens, fellow jewels that are tuning in this week. I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple, King Jewels here, just ready to run another set of jewels for you all this week. We are in the month of July, the last few weeks. Going into the last bit of summer for those that are students out there, for those that are going back to school for the master's, the doctorate, or even if you are an undergrad, or for those high schoolers out there, summer is coming to a close shortly. So make sure you are enjoying this time that you have as best as you can right here and right now, because the school year and the fall season is upon us. But nevertheless, make sure you go out and enjoy yourself for the rest of this summer. But I'm excited, you all. We definitely are back here for episode 163, credit hacks to use for real estate. For those who may have been watching for the month of June and July, we've been talking to a ton of entrepreneurs that are kings and queens in their own right, that are here to share their expertise, to share their knowledge and wisdom, and even to be real and transparent, to talk about their trials and struggles that they've had to go through in order to make their business a reality and to make their business successful. And so if you have been tuning in, definitely listen to us on all podcast platforms. Go and subscribe, like, and share this video, and go and definitely subscribe to our podcast, Run the Jewelz Show. We are on all podcast platforms. And also recently, we just started kicking off with our YouTube episodes being able to be uploaded with our live stream. And so you can go and subscribe to us on Julian Smartrimple's page on YouTube, or you can just search for the Run the Jewelz Show to see what recent episodes we've just launched. And also, we just recently got access, you all, to stream live on LinkedIn. So shout out to our LinkedIn family that is just tuning in to watch with us for season 3. It was a long and tireless process to get on LinkedIn, but we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and on all podcast platforms with our season 3 episodes. And so I'm excited, you all, for my very special guests that I'm about to get ready to bring on to the show so that you all can meet this dynamic queen. She is a businesswoman in her own right. She literally talks a ton about financial education. This is how I came across this young queen's page. And she is also a co-founder of a dynamic organization and business by the name of VendHER. And so for those that are into increasing their financial IQ, their financial education, and just getting more options to be able to buy assets with a term called credit, you're going to be in for a treat this evening, especially for those who are into the real estate market. If you're into buying rental properties and investment properties, I'm sure you'll be in for a treat because we are talking about credit hacks to use for real estate. I'm even going to patronize this queen's business, and I love what she's doing by educating others and being an influencer, not just on social, but she even told me she does live workshops and I'm sure eventually conferences. And so you will want to definitely follow and support her business and also her ventures. And so I'm about to get ready to bring in, she goes by the name of Rory, and she is one of the founders, and she is going to be talking to us about her business venture, VendHER. And so I want to introduce you to my very special guest, Miss Rory. Rory, how you feeling this evening, Queen?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Julian?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a long, rainy day here in Atlanta, but I definitely want to thank you for coming on and dropping the jewels with us this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Yes, yes. And for those that are just tuning in, you're about to get ready to hear from my very special guest, Rory, who is talking about credit hacks to use for real estate. And so share, like, subscribe. We definitely want you all to be able to learn, just like I'm learning in talking about credit and how we can use it to acquire more assets for real estate. And so, Rory, what we always allow our guests to do is to introduce yourself to the audience, let people know where you're tuning in from, and also where you're originally from and why this is an important subject for you to teach us this evening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again. I'm originally born and raised Cincinnati, Ohio. I ended up moving out of Ohio and going to school. So I have a bachelor's and a master's degree. I pretty much moved all around the Midwest. So I went from Ohio to Kentucky to Indiana, and I landed my first full-time position in North Carolina. I ended up quitting that job in October of last year after working there for about a year and a half. So I've only worked professionally for a year and a half before I became a full-time entrepreneur. Like I said, I'm in North Carolina, but I'm relocating to Atlanta next month. So I'll definitely be down there right with you. But yeah, as it pertains to financial literacy, it's extremely important for me personally because my lens and my focus is specifically for us by us, FUBU, Black people. The economic wealth gap for us has such large disparities. And I personally feel like it's not up to us to wait to be saved, but we have to be able to be the ones to do it ourselves. So I created a platform to be able to help close this gap and for us to focus on utilizing and leveraging what's already out there along with group economics to help close that gap. So all of those things make up who I am. Again, my name is Rory, co-founder of VendHER. And yeah, that's really it.
I love it. I love it, Queen. And for those that are just tuning in with us, you just heard from my very special guest, Rory, who is here for episode 163 to talk about credit hacks to use for real estate. For those jewels that have been with us or whether you're just tuning in for the first time, we have an interactive podcast, a live show that we host here every single week. And so we want to hear from you. If you have any questions for my very special guest, you can list them in the comment section, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook at any time, and we'll get to them shortly. But no question is too outrageous or too silly or stupid. We all are here learning, and we all are here wanting to hear from my very special guest about credit hacks to use for real estate. And so, Rory, talk to us from the foundation, because we want to know about even your business. Talk to us about how did you get even into studying and learning about credit when a lot of people that look like myself and you and even others that are of different nationalities, we are not taught really from a young age about credit industry and also even about financial education in terms of credit. So how did you find an interest in credit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so really Instagram. I was tapped in with a couple of people who are in the real estate realm, and I knew that that's where I wanted to be long term. Although our business started as a vending machine business, I knew I wanted to end with real estate. That was always the goal and still is. I'm actually, when I moved to Atlanta, planning to get my general contractor's license. That's how serious I am about real estate. So they were teaching different things on how you can leverage credit. And at the time I only had $10,000 in credit lines. Wow. And so I'm like, well, and that's probably more than a lot of people, right? But for me, I'm like, they talking crazy numbers. They talking about how you can get 25 and 50K in business credit. I'm like, what is business credit? I had no idea what any of these things were, even though I had a business. And so even though I had built up a lot of business acumen, I hadn't built up certain things that would allow my business to scale quicker. And so the foundation of it really was I used my personal money that I barely had because I knew I had to spend money to make money. And that's how VendHER got started. Me and my partner came in together. We put $3,000 into our vending machine business. And essentially, we just let that business keep running. Then we created an online portion of it where we created ebooks and e-courses and mentorships. And we recycled all of our money back and forth, like repeated it into the business. And to the point where it was like, okay, we're still not scaling as quick as we would like. So then I turned to learning more about credit. And so a lot of people are surprised by this, but I just started learning what I know about credit in August of last year. Like legit, this has been like almost a year process for me. But we're talking about I now have close to 100K in personal credit. Sorry, personal and business credit. And at the beginning of this year, I only had 10K. So when we talk about like the growth, it's tremendous. And credit really allows you to free yourself financially and scale in ways that I could not have done it if I was running a business purely off of cash flow.
Yeah, and that's real when it comes to the leverage component. I know for those who are listening and out there on the podcast or watching us live, having that leverage ability to purchase assets and also to put towards any potential business loans and things of that nature that we always hear about, especially for those that purchase cars in their business name. Having leverage is a huge undermined piece of financial education. And so for those that are tuning in, if you have any questions about using credit to leverage for your business or even for real estate, definitely, again, put any questions that you have for my very special guest, Rari, in the comment section, and we'll get to them shortly. But I want to know, especially about credit leverage when it comes to, I thought we had a question coming in. Shout out to Midnight Prayer Watch too. 100,000 in 1 year is unbelievable. MPW said, which is one of our partners. Shout out to MPW. But yeah, 100,000 in 1 year is crazy numbers. And so like talk to us about like what did that do for you, especially being able to see that was attainable, because a lot of people do not think that is attainable because their credit may be shot or they may be non-existent with their credit. So talk to us about like how did that do for your confidence and also even just your inspiration to go into even more?
Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to lie. When I seen that, I mean, I'm looking at close to 100K, and we're talking about building this over between January and now. We're talking about like 6 to 7 months. Realistically, I built it between January and March. I built up, an additional 60 to 70K within that amount of time. I'm just like, it's addictive, low key. Like, you really start to see what potential you have. And I realized that while my business was not doing as well as I wanted to do, like as far as like cash flow each month, I had credit to support me. And how I like to explain it to our people especially is that like people tend to focus on our people especially, not a lot, but they tend to focus on savings and having cash, like actual liquid cash, rather than building up credit and letting that be your safety net or your emergency savings. And for me, I chose to if anything was to go down, I chose to let credit be the thing that I could leverage and keep all of my cash, because my thing was I could pay this back over time. A lot of those credit cards had welcome bonuses. They have introductory periods with 0% interest. So I'm like, if shit got bad, I don't have to pay interest on here for a while. You know what I'm saying? I can be okay until the business picks up. So we starting to see, I'm like, I'm not doing as well as I want to do. The first, like January probably was like a 1,500 month for me. February is the same. And as the month kept picking up, now we're starting to see 10K months. And it's like, okay, right? If I was to use my cash, it would not have been leveraged in the same ways. And so for our people, the inspiration really comes from, first of all, unlearning that credit is bad, because that's a huge taboo in our community. And most times it's because we're pretty much born into it. Like a parent might have done something to disrupt our credit. I know everybody I talk to, including myself, we like, I know you had that utility bill in your name. You had something come to your house and you like, how am I 12 with, Duke Energy? Like, I know this, I didn't do this, or a cable, whatever it might be. So when we understand that we can unlearn these harmful things, from there, it's really about the building process. And for everybody who has bad credit, people our people a lot of times come to me and try to cut corners. I'm like, yo, you're doing this backwards. I need for you to go back, go fix that, and I'm gonna help you fix it, right? I don't do credit repair, but I teach people certain things that can help them fix their profile. Like I have a free credit building ebook that teaches people the different accounts that you can add to add positive accounts to your profile. So while you are getting credit repair from a credit repair specialist, you can use my ebook, the free one, to actually build positive accounts. And so once you're done with both of those processes, then we can help you go get funding, and then you can go use that and pour that back into your business. Notice not one of those things I just said included using your own money to scale a business, right? We're using your own money to fix your personal credit so that you can leverage that for business credit and things of that nature, and then scale the business. I can't hear you, Julian.
My fault. I had myself muted because I was not trying to have any background noise for your jewels that you're dropping. But I was just saying, yeah, that fear tactic right there is real when it comes to being young and seeing like how parents or family members abused access to credit and also abused even the debt that they continue to accrue, which I know we're going to be tapping into how do we counteract that fear that may have been seen growing up with a lot of households, especially Black households here in America. And so I definitely want to table that really quick while we introduce our sponsor for tonight's episode, because we have sponsors every single week for the RTJ show. And so take a look at who our sponsor is for tonight's very special episode. So shout out again to our VIP sponsor for tonight's very special episode. Comes from none other than Smart Food Kitchen. Smart Food Kitchen, you can find out about Smart Food Kitchen, which is an interactive meal service. They provide meal prep plans, cooking demos, and also private food tastings this summer. I'm about to put into the comment section how you can follow what Smart Food Kitchen is doing based out of Atlanta here. But I know they have a lot of remote events that they do, including cooking demos. And so shout out to our official sponsor for episode 163 comes from Smart Food Kitchen. But stay with that part right there, Rari, because I know the fear tactic, as we were saying before the commercial break, is real. And a lot of people are not able to overcome that fear because of them feeling that they're going to follow in their parents or their family members' footsteps and misusing or abusing credit or even getting into more debt. So what are some ways that you even with your team teach to counteract that type of fear that is implanted in a lot of children and even adults still to this day?
Yeah, that's a great question, Julian. I think the core really comes down to understanding that credit is used for everything. It's getting to the point where they're using credit, obviously, for cars, for homes, for apartments, some places even jobs. And so when we understand that people, corporations, organizations, these large entities are getting so definitive in how they're using credit, there's really no way around having a sustainable lifestyle and not leveraging or using credit. And you know what I'm saying? Like there's no way around it. So if you want a healthy lifestyle, if you want to be able to live a particular life, you have to understand and know how to use credit. And for me, I would rather have the comfortability of knowing that I could leverage this digital asset that I know that I can liquidate and create cash from, because I have these different tools and hacks that we can get into later in the conversation. But I would rather have this digital asset that's 100 times better than it, like it's more protective, so to say, than your debit card itself. Your debit card has no protections at all. They barely will fight for you when it comes to fraud. If you lost your money, you lost your money. But when it comes to credit, it's a lot more protected. So I tell our people really, like, do you want to continue to be in the same situation that you're in? Because a lot of the folks who follow us, they are either low income or living check to check, because middle class folks live check to check too.
That's real.
And they're in a situation to where they want to maybe quit their job or they want to live a different lifestyle. Well, you have to understand what you need to do in order to be able to do that. So my biggest thing is understand how to leverage credit. You don't have to have everything figured out, but you can use credit as a tool to be able to do that. So it's really a unlearning and relearning process, but it's really up to the individual. Like one thing I don't do is like convince, right? Like you have to have it in you. You have to understand that, like, if I show people right now I got my credit cards, I'm like, hey, this weekend when I was in Miami, I got to book my flight with this card, and it gave me 5 times the points, which then the next time I book, I don't have to pay for a flight because I got points from this time. Or hey, when I used this card, I was able to get into the Delta Sky Lounge and I was able to eat and drink for free. Doesn't matter because I'm flying with and I paid for it with this card. So when people start to see things too, that I think that helps, right? Because like when you say it, it's just theoretical. But when you actually like doing it and then you showing them and they like, yo, that's right from what she got going on. Like I remember when she was da da da, and I'm like, yeah, things have changed. So our people like to see stuff, and so that's what I be focusing on.
Yeah, you're so on point with that right there too, Queen, because it's all visual. We see how we dominate TikTok, how we dominate IG, and then most of the social platforms, especially even Clubhouse, they wanted to get us on there last year with the plan. They know we love to talk, especially Black folks. Definitely gonna be talking about.
They'll be exploiting us, man, for our talents.
Yeah, so it's definitely all about the visual effects, and so we applaud you and your team, especially being able to help people unlearn those bad habits and those bad characteristics that we may have picked up from our parents unknowingly or from family members unknowingly. I know Delta had a question for you too, Ra. She said, how do you balance liquid assets versus credit to keep the business in a profitable status? And what asset to credit ratio would you recommend?
That's some deep questions. You a high level for me. I'm just like, I don't do the numbers, but I would say for me, you should be less cash heavy than you are credit, right? Like I feel like I don't have a particular ratio, but I use credit for everything. There's no reason for me to use cash ever because I have credit. That's the whole reason why I'm doing it. And I say this also because I know how to liquidate credit to create cash. So I never actually have to use my own cash. If anything, I'm just leveraging my credit and doing certain things to get cash from it. So I really I don't have a particular ratio. I'm not going to get on here and start capping 75% ratio for credit versus 25. But I will say that I'm very credit heavy. And as far as liquidity, you should have your liquid cash in assets. It shouldn't just be liquid cash. So what I mean by that is having like a home or something like that. That's technically, in my opinion, liquid cash because at any point in time you could sell it and then it's cash, right? So anything that you can anytime you can wrap your money up in assets, for me, I mean, I'm less on the cash end at all. Like it's heavy on the credit side and heavy on the liquidity and asset side. So, and she did say that liquid assets. So she on point with it already.
Yeah, and just like you said, it's a lot of our jewels out there that are listening, even that they're always told to be able to have a certain amount of cash that you can move around with, just in case, like we know the government could shut stuff down like they do in other parts of the world. And so like do you recommend even for keeping a certain amount of cash on you, even though you have the card in case of situations that you may use the card to swipe for? Or do you recommend still staying afloat with having the card as basically your net?
I don't use cash for anything, Julia. I want to be like, I don't use, like, it will be like a cold day in hell before I use my debit card. Reality is I have one. I have lots of money on it, but I don't use it because it does nothing for me. It doesn't give me any benefits when I use it.
Gotcha.
I know what each one of my credit cards give me when I use it. I know which one I should use for gas, which one I should use for restaurants, which ones have rotating benefits, which one for flights. Like, I know what each one of those does. So when you understand that, you'll never want to use a debit card again. Because I know the more I build up using whatever card for whatever benefits, the more I get back in rewards to be able to do that again. So that's when you start hearing people say, oh man, I can fly, eat, and sleep for free. Yeah. That's what we all trying to get. But you got to be able to, your debit card is not going to do that. You got to have credit.
That's real. And like you said, I follow a brother on IG. He goes by the Points Guy, and he talks about, even as you said, like having access to certain private terminals, but also even for private jet services, that there's certain credit cards that give you access to even private airways and also private airports based off of your credit usage. And so for those that are just tuning in with us, we're here with my very special guest, Ra, for episode 163. If you have any questions for Ra at any point of today's session, you can list them in the comment section, and we'll be sure to get to them shortly. No question is too large or too small. We're all here to learn, including myself, for tonight's episode 163. And so stay with that point too right there, Ra. Like, because I know I'm sure you get this question a lot. For someone who is just looking to build their credit up, like, how many cards do you suggest that they have that are active? Is there a certain credit is there a certain credit card that you recommend for those who are still novice and still learning their spending habits, especially if they're in college still or just graduated and they're in the real world? Like, what are some of your recommendations on how many credit cards, and also are there a particular type of credit card that you would recommend?
Yeah, great question. So I had to pull up my ebook so I can make sure, because I can't retain it all. But okay, so that was a very layered question, and I think it's twofold. I recommend two different strategies for someone who's trying to build their profile versus someone who's trying to get nicer credit cards to do certain things. Because when you're trying to build your credit profile, you're trying to get enough accounts reporting, enough positive history, so that you can get larger cards like what I have, Amex's, Chase, Bank of America. But there's a step before that if you don't have the best credit to build you up to prepare for those cards. And most times people want to skip that step right there. Yeah. And then that's when I have to tell folks to do the jerk and rewind and listen, come back. Let's not skip that point, right? So you have different credit builders that allow you to build up the profile. When it comes to funding, right? When it comes to getting actual, like, very good credit cards that give you benefits to them, you have to have 10 plus reporting accounts, a 680 credit score. You need to have 0 to 3 hard inquiries. You need to have 5+ years of credit, et cetera, et cetera. No derogatory marks, meaning no late payments, no collections, no nothing. Very few of our people have all of those things to go and get Chase and Amex and all of these other cards. So I'm like, okay, let's work that out first. Let's fix that. Because I have consultations with people who like, I missed that payment. And I'm like, but how are you saying this casually when payment history makes up the most percentage for your credit score? At 35%, how are you acting like this is not a big deal? But people don't understand the 5 components of a credit score, which is your payment history, your utilization, your credit age, your credit mix, right? And then your what is the fifth one? I can't remember the fifth one right now. My brain is all over, but we'll get there. It'll come back later. But my point is, right, between those 5 different factors, you have to understand that those are impacting you negatively if you don't have good things. If your utilization is too high, creditors will deny you for it. If your payment history, you have late payments, one late payment will get you denied.
Yeah.
A 99% is always worse than 100. So people have to understand that. We talked about the finals before we got on here. Is the NBA player who has 100% at the free throw line or 99% at the free throw line going to look better when it comes to stats? And so the banks look at that the same way. We have to understand those 5 components that make up our FICO credit scores, because that's what most lenders are looking at. And from there, when we understand that, like I teach our people to understand the what and the why so you can execute on the how. If you don't understand what credit is or why credit is important, why are you worried about how to travel for free? Why are you worried about how to eat and sleep for free? You don't even understand what it is. If you don't understand what an APR is, what a balance transfer is, if you don't understand what these different things, if you don't understand that you have a cash advance fee for liquidating your credit cards, and that APR is different from your actual credit card's APR, if you don't understand that your balance transfer APR is different from your cash advance APR and your credit card's APR, right? All of those things have different interest rates. If you don't understand those things, then you cannot get to the point of where I'm trying to take our people and understanding how to leverage it. You can't leverage it if you don't properly understand it. So I teach our people really the what and the why behind it so they can understand how to execute on the how.
That's real. The what and the why is always important when dealing with financial education. As you and I discussed, I'm in the financial space, but still when it comes to really having a reason to why are you trying to leverage this? Why are you trying to even find hacks to purchase real estate, and will you be able to maintain it? Those are questions that, as you know, of all people, that a lot of people don't answer before they get into following a strategy or following a plan that you as a guide, as a coach, set forth for them to proceed with. And I know we have one more question for you too, Rob from MPW. They said that's an interesting strategy. How are you calculating the interest expenses with using all credit cards and paying off the bill? So is there a certain strategy that you use for paying off your bills with the interest?
See, this is a great question, because most folks would just pay the bills on their credit cards and think, okay, I'm good. No, the strategy is that the money that you were going to use from however you get paid, right? You're going to use that same money to pay off that debt before any interest is even accrued. So I pay my rent with my credit sometimes. Me and my partner both be fighting over who gonna get the points. You know what I'm saying? This month, that's how I really be getting sometimes. I pretty much pay everything I can pay with a credit card, and I pay it off with my actual debit card or my checking account, obviously, because that money was going to come out anyways. So, I mean, there's ways that you can use credit to pay off credit, but my thing is that I don't want to put us I don't want to get so complex and people just start figuring out that they can do all of these hacks, but they're not really putting themselves in the correct position. They're just trying to get over.
Right.
I don't teach people to scam. I do teach you, though, however, to understand how you can use it as a tool and leverage it. So my thing is, use your credit cards to pay your bills, use your debit cards to pay off those credit cards. And if you need to, use credit to pay off credit, but really the debit, the checking account.
That's real right there, especially having a strategy and being able to stick with it or tweak it as needed is critical in terms of any financial strategy or financial plan. And I know we want to definitely dive head first now that we got a lot of the intro stuff out the way to talk about the real estate and being able to leverage and also strategize your credit to not just potentially purchase a first-time home, but even for those that may be a little bit farther along and they're looking to purchase investment properties or potentially even business properties for their own business or businesses to lease other businesses too. So what are some of the, let's say, recommended or go-to credit strategies that you would tell someone who is an investor or someone who is a business owner looking to acquire real estate at a fast pace?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that it's important that we make some clear nuances right now about how diverse credit is, right? There's not just credit cards. You got personal credit cards, personal lines of credit. You got business credit cards, business lines of credits. You got equipment loans, business startup loans. You got all types of different ways that you can get this credit, right?
Right.
And not all of them require you to have great personal credit, right? We talking about a 680, y'all, minimally. And I know people who had under that who got approved. I just like to tell our people, why settle and be at a particular score that pits you against everybody else? Like, I want us to shoot for high 700 so that you really have a hard time getting denied. When I applied for 7 credit cards in January, I got approved for all of them except for one because they saw I had too many hard inquiries.
Wow.
If I would have known that Capital One, if I would have known at the time that Capital One was one of the lenders that you want to put on your list first because they pay attention to hard inquiries, I would have got approved for all 8 credit cards. So with certain things, you understand different lenders and how you should apply for them and when you should apply for them. You also understand which type of lenders to go to. So as it pertains to building with real estate, my biggest thing with building with real estate, because me and my partner, she owns a home. I like to be specific with that. We're in the process of buying a home. So I will have my first home closing on my birthday next month. But we also have some short-term rentals as well with Airbnb and travel nurses. And I do some investing with mobile homes as well. So my portfolio is pretty wide as it pertains to, it's not large, but it is wide as it pertains to real estate. With that being said, real estate sometimes takes a while to get your return on investment. So when you're looking for different credit, you'll either want to look for something that's completely liquid, like a business line of credit. When you apply for a business line of credit, they hit your credit once and you literally get a line of credit that's liquid cash for you to use. And you have obviously terms that you pay it off on. It's essentially like an installment loan, right? They give you the money up front, you pay it back in installments. That's one option for you. And guess what? That's going to impact your debt to income ratio, but you'll know from the jump how much it impacts you because they gave you the money all up front. So it automatically adds it on there. It's not like a credit card where every single time you spend money, it's going up and down, up and down, up and down. It don't work like that when it's an installment loan. It's going to hit you right away, and you're going to see what the impacts of that are. As it pertains to, so that's like lines of credit. As it pertains to like actual credit cards, I think that all of us should be looking to build with credit unions. That's where you can get a bag. This card right here that I have, Navy Federal, right? I teach people how to get into Navy Federal. A lot of people, obviously, it's a military bank. I don't have any family in the military. I didn't have to lie about a granddad being dead. I don't do those types of things. I don't like wishing that on folks. But I will say that I was able to build a relationship with this bank for 3 months, and I only had $150 in the account, and in turn, they gave me $15K on my business card. I have maxed this card out. None of the utilization reports personally, right? What does that look like? If I spent $15K on my personal side, my score would be like, girl, you tried it, okay?
Right.
But when it's on the business side, you can do what you got to do to get ahead. So what we're looking for is credit cards with credit unions, or we're looking for credit cards, and I'm specifically talking about business credit, y'all. We're looking for business credit that has 0% interest, right, for 12, 15, 18 months, so that we can take whatever time we need while flipping this real estate or doing whatever we're doing to pay it off. Because realistically, your monthly payment on whatever card you're using is going to be 1% of whatever the card limit is. So if I max out this $15K, I'm looking at a monthly payment of $150 to $200. You telling me your business not going to do well enough, or you can't pay off that 1% until you get back? It might not jump month 1, month 2, month 3, but your Airbnb might go crazy on month 4.
Right.
And you still got 8 more months to pay that off. Remember, it's interest-free money. So that's what we got to really start leaning into, that interest-free money and that money that's like purely liquid.
Roz dropping all the jewels on you all tonight, kings and queens, our jewels that are listening or tuning in. she's giving y'all the full blueprint formula to win and to also be able to not just leverage, but even be able to master the opportunity that you have of using credit to purchase assets and to also specifically maintain and purchase real estate. And so we had a question come in too for you, Ra. If you have any questions, list them in the comments and we'll get to them shortly. So I see Andrea asked, she said, how does one protect one's personal information when so many people have had their identity stolen primarily due to their credit card usage? So what are some tips you would say for when it comes to theft or credit identities being stolen? Like what are some pieces of advice you can give clients?
Okay, so generally speaking, fraud and credit is a very big thing, which is why sometimes people don't even get approved because lenders think that it's a fraudulent application. So for you as an applicant, the biggest thing that you can do, one thing I tell people when they're applying for credit, you want to make sure that you don't have any fraud alerts on. Fraud alerts will deny you, like off the rip. The banks do not like to see that you have fraud alerts because that scares them. They're like, they're going to lose money because somebody scammed you somehow. So if you try to get money with them, it's a risk to them.
Right.
So what I do tell people is the difference between locking and freezing your report versus having a fraud alert on it. Sometimes when you call the bureaus to ask them to freeze or lock your report, they add a fraud alert. You want to make sure they don't do that. They'll do it anyways, but you'll want to make sure that they don't do it. I'd be on the phone with them like, I want to be clear before we hang up that you understand what I'm saying to you on this recorded line, that I do not want anything fraudulent. And I don't want a fraud alert. I want a locked report. Locked reports, right? Locked and frozen are interchangeable in these spaces with the bureaus. The locked and frozen report disallows lenders and creditors from pulling your credit report. The fraud alert triggers them to say something fraudulent happened, but to freeze it prevents them from actually pulling your report. So this prevents other people applying on your behalf as well. So what I like to tell our people is that if you are not actively applying for credit, keep your reports locked. That is how you avoid people potentially applying on your behalf. And number two, obviously, when you're actually applying, you need to unlock your credit bureaus. But some people get away with it. So that's a hack right there where you might still get approved without the hard inquiry. If y'all following what I'm saying, like they were able to prove you without pulling a hard inquiry. So I just had a friend who told me the other day that he got approved for damn near a $20,000 Navy Federal credit card personally with his reports locked, and they still approved him. A lot of times they won't approve you, but there's some times where they will. So there's certain different things that you can do, but my biggest thing is to lock those accounts where you're not using them, and that's how you protect yourself.
Yeah, and that's a major jewel right there, because I know of a few friends too, Ra, that talk about freezing their credit because they have been scorned by someone that did try to hack into their credit and potentially purchase some foolish stuff, not like a big ticket item like real estate, but just a loan, a car loan or something like that, or even apply for another credit card. So that ain't little. I know that was going to be my question, though, but you summed it up gracefully when it comes to the difference between the process of freezing versus having a lock. And I want
the people closest to you that you got to be careful around. I want to be clear about that. People be out here having their cards laying out, or you be showing it on Instagram Live trying to make a point. People catch on to stuff. That's why I only show one of my cards. I never turn it around. I only show the face of it, and most times I try to cover up any type of numbers that are on it. Because I know people can put stuff together. That's real.
You talking good with that, because when it comes to scammers here in Atlanta, where you're looking to come, it's a scammer a dime a dozen here in Atlanta. So you gotta watch. You gotta watch the folks out on the ATL street. Shout out to ATL, but it's a lot of folks tuning for that come up, especially with the Real Housewives of Atlanta and all the glamour and glitz of the Black Hollywood here in the South. But I wanted to talk to you about particularly the credit unions, because a ton of individuals that I've had on the show, and even that are in my close circle, they always recommend going to the credit unions versus, let's say, the BOAs or the Chases or the Wells Fargos. So do you have a particular preference for those that may just be either looking to do business credit versus those who are doing personal credit building strategies, whether you should do credit unions, or what are your thoughts on having credit unions versus big banks?
Yeah, personally, this is how I see it. Big banks are for fun. Little banks are for money. I mean, Amex will play with your spirits. You'll be pissed. Chase will play with you, but them credit unions won't. And so, as far as how I see it, y'all, is that we should really get to a space where we're literally only building business credit. Like, that's where I'm at right now. Like, I've done enough personally. It will have to be an outstanding offer for me to go and get another personal credit card, because all of my utilization impacts me. I don't want to have to deal with that anymore. So now I have to figure out, how do I make every expense a business expense, essentially.
Right.
That Miami trip I told you about before this podcast, I just wanted to go to Miami. So I was like, how do I make this a Miami business trip?
Yes.
Let me host a class. Okay. And so as it pertains to credit unions, I don't prefer one over the other. I just think that our people should always choose credit unions. This is the key. Don't just choose one that has a business accounts. Choose some that has business products. Those are two different things. A business account, which means you can just get a business checking and business savings. Business products means that they offer business credit cards, business loans, different things of that nature. It's not enough for you to just have your money housed there. You need to know that there's some type of end goal there that you can apply. So go and get you go get to credit unions that actually have business products. If they don't have business products, I highly wouldn't even suggest y'all look that way, because I want our people to get out of even using personal credit. The only reason why I would suggest using your personal credit at this point is to leverage it in order to get business credit. But there's even ways that you can get business credit without leveraging your personal credit. So I teach people both of those things. And I got people in my community, like I was telling you about, that you can use your EIN only. I'm about to join a mentorship in September about trust, where she drops some major game. I can't even drop it on here because it's just too deep. But the whole point is, she's teaching you how to use your EIN in replacement of your social security number.
Wow.
And this is some high level ish. I'm like, hold on, what? How do you do that? Like, because this whole time I thought it had to be like, no, it's levels to this. And so my thing is, just choose credit unions and banks that have small banks too, because it's not just large and then credit unions. It's small, right, mid. It's like several different tiers for banks. Choose banks that actually have business products, because that's the end goal.
That's real right there. Rod dropping a ton of jewels on us tonight, you all, especially when it comes to credit unions. I'm a person that always flocks more to credit unions. I have my credit through a credit union, especially shout out to Navy Federal that Rod definitely gave a salute to, because most of my friends are either with Navy Federal or they're with Delta Community, especially for those here in Atlanta. Yeah, so shout out to the credit unions that don't get a lot of love, especially if you're looking for the right interest rates for those that are looking to build up business credit. That's a recommendation that Rod just gave you, and y'all know I always speak about credit unions for financial education. And so, like,
can I drop one more gem on that note before we transition?
Yeah, go ahead.
I listen, y'all. If you follow our page on VendHER, I made a reel about a list of credit unions that you can join from anywhere. So essentially, I gave people the plug on how they can get access to a credit union from wherever you are. Why is this important, Rari? I'm going to tell you why. It's important because credit unions, a lot of times why people resist joining them is because they have particular parameters around joining. You have to be a member of a church or a nonprofit or a job or the military or police and fire, whatever it might be, to join. But a lot of people don't know that you can join a lot of different credit unions just by donating money to the nonprofit organization that they support. So a good amount of credit unions I applied to, all I did was pay between $10 and $20 to join. And in turn, like, how many of y'all would pay $10 or $20 to get back $20K on a credit card, right? And so I'm like, you're literally paying money to get more money. So our people, like, go on my page, look at that reel, look at those list of credit unions and see which one you qualify for, and go get your bag, because when they say that you can apply from anywhere, that means that you can get money from anywhere too. Don't let that go over your heads.
That's real. That's real right there, y'all, because that's a major jewel in itself. And that's what I was going to transition to too, Roz, just talking about the business credit side, because when it comes to, let's say, individuals that are looking to open up their business and they just have the EIN, but they're looking to get to that next stage of opening up the business account through a credit union or a bank. And also the travel piece, which is what you already are doing, which a lot of business entrepreneurs and owners don't realize that you can write that off. So talk about like the tax purposes of being able to like write off your business trips or your business expenses or your meals based off of you traveling, even domestically or even traveling internationally abroad, based off of having a business credit card that you are able to track all of your expenses. Like, give some advice or some wisdom for our fellow Jewels that are listening that may not be doing that right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, well, you kind of already just said it fully, but I want to preface this one. I am not a CPA, and this is not financial advice, but if you are running a business that you're not utilizing business credit or your money that's come through your business checking account, then it's simply a hobby. And there's this phrase called the corporate veil. You pierce that corporate veil, and this corporate veil is this separation between your legal entity and you as an individual. You pierce that corporate veil when you start using personal finances for your business and then saying, hey, I want to write this off. Like, that's not how it works, because to them, they can't justify that you used it for your business, even though you used it for your business. You have to make sure that those things are separated and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're separate entities. So when it comes to business credit, when it comes to business checking accounts and separating things, you absolutely have to have these things. So when it comes time to having your CPA look over your things, you're in compliance. Our people are the most vulnerable for getting audits. Do you want your business shut down? And this is something I'm even tightening up myself, y'all. So I'm speaking to myself right now. I'm not even gonna lie, because it's so easy to just be like, all right, I'm gonna just, because it's just so easy to do it. But you have to get into a habit of separating things and understanding what's in compliance and what's not, because our people are most susceptible to getting audited and most susceptible to getting fined and most susceptible of getting our businesses shut down the soonest and the quickest, okay? So when it comes to these things, y'all, pay that bread to get you whatever CPA, whatever bookkeeper, whatever accountant that you need, because those things don't always work interchangeably. Bookkeepers and accountants are two different things. If you can find an accountant that does bookkeeping, great, because they know your money and they can do your taxes. But make sure you all are in compliance, because the government will come after you if they don't care.
Yeah.
Especially about us.
Yeah, that's major, especially when it comes to us who are just either building or those who are trying to build. I know you've heard about the scandals even outside of credit with the PPP loans. A couple folks in Atlanta got hit thinking that was their
what's the new move?
Their windfall coming from the sky or coming from the heavens, and they basically thought that they could use that leisurely instead of keeping it separate. And so that's a major piece that a lot of business owners aren't able to keep their personal expenses separate from their business expenses. So you're literally letting us know, including myself, that we all need to tighten up on that. because it is going
Always.
to be something that you'll have to go back and look at if there is an audit. Even when
Can I add to that
yeah, go
really
ahead.
quickly? I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
We have to, like, y'all got to understand that, because I want to make sure we're good. Because this stuff, and I almost cussed. I want to be respectful of the platform. But because I'm a pirate, but I've been being real safe here. You have to understand that it always comes back. It will always come back. If you want to buy a home, right, they're going to look at the last 2 years of your tax returns, and they're going to look so granular to every single dollar coming in and out of your account. Like, my partner is in the process of getting our home, and they're like, what was this money here for? I need a letter telling us why. It was like $1,200, like something insignificant. They want to know every single thing. So if you just using business money or you just using stuff interchangeably and you're not really separating it, and then you have no justifiable reason for doing so, you're going to get caught up in something. And I would rather us be on the right side of things up front so that we don't have to backtrack and prevent ourselves from being able to get into different things and different opportunities, whatever that might be. So just be on the right side of things is all I'll say.
Yeah, she's given sound wisdom, including myself, because a lot of us do not know how to separate our personal expenses with our business expenses. Rari is telling you all. I'm even literally echoing what she's saying. You can't use personal expenses for business expenses, especially when it comes down to taxes, which I'm still learning about. They will come back and look at all of your documentations. And so that's what I was going to pivot to as we get ready to wind down shortly, is like, how do you see the credit companies moving now that we're in the digital currency space? That, like, I just been seeing tons of ads on YouTube literally this week with Credit Karma has their own digital card. We already know Cash App, Square,
right.
all the big name companies that are digitally based are coming out with their own cards. So do you see that being in competition in any way, shape, or form in the near future? Of course, with the crypto space, we actually are having some interviews to talk about that this upcoming fall. But like, where do you see the digital space of currency affecting credit, or do you see it not affecting it moving forward?
Oh, I think it's going to affect it. Already has affected it tremendously. I mean, honestly, when we were in Miami, I mean, I'm looking at the little corner stores, Bitcoin ATMs, just ATMs straight to buy or liquidate Bitcoin. And I'm like, wow, this is nuts, low key. Like, I mean, I was never into it at all. Crypto, not my thing at all. But now I'm like, you kind of have no choice but to get into it when you see that inflation is getting so crazy that money is like really worth nothing, which is why I lean to credit in general too, because I understand liquid cash is like, it's like pretty much nothing now. Yeah. So as it pertains to digital currency, it's just a matter of time before these credit cards start offering cash back rewards in Bitcoin or something like that. It's going to start to transition into that overall, because I mean, credit is nothing different than all of this is still a form to me, some type of currency, and it can all be liquidated to cash. Yeah. It's just a matter of which one of these different entities provides the most cash once liquidated.
Yeah.
And credit and different forms of cryptocurrency cryptocurrency is winning right now. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't even get into it. It's too much.
Oh no, you're right. You're right there, Queen. Because especially, I know you're familiar with Earn Your Leisure, and a lot of people in our community, they talk about that all the time. How the digital space is literally going to change the whole trajectory of traditional banking, which of course affects credit. And so, like, the credit companies and also which work hand in hand with the banks are going to have to offer something to keep their clients and their customers satisfied, versus, like you said, just going to brokerage accounts and having digital cards to house their funds on, versus some of the digital banks that are popping up a dime a dozen each and every year. So that's an interesting topic to discuss.
But our people are going to be on the back end of that. That's what's sad, because I feel like we're just now getting to a place where folks are even feeling comfortable enough to say, okay, let me try this credit thing. Our people just now letting go of cash slightly. So now to tell them that this thing that nobody even knows who's over it, like you don't even know who created this coin. Our people not finna go for that. Like we don't even trust credit. Then we understand how credit works. Like it's a thing. It's physical.
Yeah.
But when you start talking about something that's digital, theoretical, we're going to be on the short end of that stick, and that's going to, when we talk about, they said it's the biggest wealth transfer happening right now. It is, but it's not for us. Yeah. And so we're going to be on the short end of that, and it's going to be hard for us to come back from that, simply because we're just so behind. And it's not all of our fault. Like it's completely systemic. Obviously, these things have been prevented. Folks have been gatekeeping this information from us. But now we're in a place right now where we got to go hard. Everything, we got to be on top of it. You know what I'm saying? We got to spread this information. We got to use platforms like this to make sure that exposure gets out, to let people understand what's currently happening.
Yeah, and you're right. It's always about being ahead of the curve. It only takes that one match to light the whole community on fire. But it really is, just like you said, Rari, opening your mouth and actually showing that it can be done. Like you said, you've had to go through your struggles and hurdles in order to grasp the information so that you can even verbalize it to others. But yeah, it's something that's an unknown. It's an unknown resource when it comes to credit usage and credit leverage, especially for business purposes. And so I want you to think about, we've talked about a lot of information this evening when it comes to building your credit, the different forms or strategies that you recommend, especially for clients or potential customers that are looking to go into building credit or even purchasing credit cards for business purposes to acquire real estate. I want you to think about what would be like a final jewel of wisdom that you would want to leave with the audience. And when it comes to credit hacks for real estate, especially, what would be your final jewel for thought?
I got so many gems. I didn't even touch the surface. That's what's crazy. I touched on some good things, but it's just so much. All right. So my final thing, this is how you all can always avoid paying interest, right? So one of my favorite quotes, and I actually was a commencement speaker in college when I graduated. And I use this quote to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. It's one of my favorite quotes because it's easy to get caught up in what's happening around you, seeing other people's success and not paying attention enough to your positionality and how you can just start where you are and literally use the resources you have to do what you can. Each brick is going to compound and you're going to get to where you need to be. But as it pertains to credit, as it pertains to real estate, right? Because I told you I have short-term rentals, planning to flip some mobile homes when I get to Atlanta, and obviously continue building my real estate portfolio. If I were you all, I would always seek 0% interest funding because it allows you however many months or years to pay those things back. And then I would use what's called a balance transfer. I would balance transfer those cards for that balance from one card to another at the end of its term for 0% interest. So I can roll it over into another card that has 0% interest. And that's how you avoid paying interest ever on a credit card. I hope that made sense. So essentially, so I can summarize this, when you are offered these different credit cards, right? Let's just say that this card, this is an Amex Platinum business. I said it has 0% interest for 12 months. If whatever business I was doing, I was not able to pay it off in 12 months, what I would do is, and at that 11th month, I would do a balance transfer on another card that has also 0% interest. And then boom, I've avoided paying interest completely over and over and over again. And literally, I'm paying pure interest. And this is only until you pay those debts off, but it's a way to leverage.
Yeah, that's a major That's a major jewel right there. And I know they definitely only got a taste of what you have to offer for tonight, because they gotta support you and your business. And even if you will allow us to have you, they gotta come back for a round 2 or a part 2, so that they can hear from your experience, especially throughout 2021, since stuff is opening back up now. And even in Atlanta, you already know nothing has really shut down since the pandemic occurred last year. And so absolutely. So for those that are listening, or if you're tuning in, let us know in the comments if you want a part 2 with Rory. I know she had some comments saying that everything that this brother, I want to say his name.
Do not listen to him, Marvin Francois.
Everything that Marvin learned, he said he learned from you, Queen. So he's giving you your flowers right now while you can still receive them.
Yo, he's a jokester. Don't even worry about him. But he's another person you should definitely tap into for the podcast. But I'll recommend him later.
Absolutely. So where can they support you, Queen? I know I found you on social. But I know you're also out in the streets. You're able to be mobile with your business. Like, what are some ways that people can tap in to what VendHER is doing? And even if they just want to sew into you, or potentially put you on to more opportunities to speak, or more opportunities to teach, because I know you sound like you got that teaching gene in you. So where can people support you?
I do. Absolutely. One, thank you again for bringing me here. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Maybe part 2. I don't know how soon we can drop some more credit gems, and I can definitely show y'all how I got into that. It will blow your mind how I was able to leverage credit to do some of the things I've been able to do, converting single family homes to duplexes, cash flowing $1,500 a month. I mean, it gets crazy. Wholesaling mobile homes, made $5K from that. But we're not going to get into that right now. Part 2 is coming. All right. As it pertains to tapping in with us, definitely follow us on Instagram. That is our most fluent platform that we have. It's _VendHER. And you can see our name is VendHER. Emphasis on the her, because we are 2 Black women who run this platform. And we're just showing everybody in our community, Black women, we out here killing it just like everyone else is. And we're bringing our people with us. I do have a financial literacy mastermind that I host monthly or bi-monthly, and I bring different guest speakers in. I really dive deep into what I just told you all about, the A to Z process for credit repair, or sorry, not credit repair, but credit funding. I help people get funding. If you need funding personally or business, I can help you get that. I teach people different sequences so they can maximize their funding. I help our people with a lot of different things. I help our people start and scale their businesses. People who need LLCs and EINs, I help with that. I'm in the process right now of creating a course that's going to be like an all-in-one for our people. It's like a business in a box almost. Only thing you need to come with is a trade, right? I can't teach you the trade of whatever business industry you're in, but I can teach you how to set up that LLC, that EIN. I can show you how to get this personal and business bag, and I can show you how to build a digital brand when it comes to content creation, because I was able to grow us in a year's time to 16,000 followers. So, and that's heavy for people to understand how hard it is to build a following. So, I put in that work, and I'm telling you I'm going on, but those like last hitting 10K happened in 2 weeks for me. Like, it was just the rails was going crazy. So I'm putting that course together for all of our people who want to be able to actually build a business in the background, but want to learn how to digitize it as well, because that's when you start getting that mailbox money, that sleep money, creating e-courses, ebooks, and mentorship. So I'm teaching our people holistically how to go and get this bag. So again, make sure you tap in with us at _VendHER. And if you need anything, let's schedule a consultation, tap into the classes, the resources, and we'll be here for anybody who looks like us, most importantly, right? That's what we're here for.
And just so I can co-sign, I know Rory is someone that's very personable, very transparent. I've even looked at her page and also looked at what their business is doing, because she's even pivoted out of a business that she had started previously and going into the credit and the real estate and the financial sector. And so it's really about finding those who are open and honest about helping others to win and helping others to get there, and are not trying to use people and not trying to basically floss or cap on social. A lot of times we see those people that are offering their services that aren't responsive and aren't willing to basically tap into your individual and customize your plan or your strategy for your individual needs. And she's someone that definitely is serious about her craft. And so support what this queen is doing, and also her team. I know she has a lot of events in store in the near future. And so make sure that y'all definitely go and follow her and also support what their business is doing. But episode 163 is in the books, you all. I'm about to get ready to say a blessing over Rari for coming on and sharing her expertise and her knowledge with us. But if you've been blessed at any time of tonight's episode, we are, again, an international podcast show, but we also have a platform that reaches out to our men and women, kings and queens on an international audience. So if you like this episode, for one, like and subscribe and share this content with someone you know can benefit from it. But feel free to sow a seed with us. I pinned in the comment section in social. If you are someone that likes to sow where you're able to reap at, you will get a return on your investment. You can Cash App us at Smart JEWELZ, or you can Venmo us at Smart JEWELZ Enterprises. And we recently just this season, for season 3, started our Patreon account. And so we're building up our Patreon audience for our loyal listeners and loyal followers who are our shining jewels. And so no donation is too small or too large. But we thank you all for tuning in tonight for episode 163. And I'm going to say a quick prayer over you, Rari, because I know you've been dropping a ton of jewels with us this evening. I know you just came back from the MIA, and I know you've been working. And so we want to make sure that you are able to recharge and replenish. And so I thank you for coming on the platform again this evening, Queen.
Thank you so much. And one last thing before you pray over me. Anybody who's on here, I want to provide value. I did tell you I had that free ebook, so I want everybody to be able to get access to this so I can provide some additional value really, really quickly. If you all text the number 404-737-1341, all you have to do is text that number, text ebook, text credit, whatever it is. I'll know exactly what you're saying, because most times people don't even greet you. They just say ebook. Right. I know what you're asking for. Do that for me. Like I said, 404-737-1341, text ebook or credit. I'll send anybody who is on Julian's platform this free ebook, and this will give you 15 plus accounts that you can add in order to build your credit profile up. And it'll also include some referral links in order for you to apply for some different credit cards, so you actually get some benefits from applying to credit cards and not just applying to them, if that makes sense. So that's the last thing I want to leave off that I can provide. It's free and anybody can access it.
That's real, you all. And it's important to not take for granted the free jewels that she's giving you all, because she also does have paid services. I'm even looking into supporting what her and our team are doing to build up the community, because she's all about helping our people, to help people that look like her and myself, and also just people who are unknowledgeable, that they may have not had this type of sit down to learn about financial education and also financial freedom that can lead to building a prosperous legacy for generations to come. And so, again, definitely tap into what Rari and VendHER is doing with their business venture. And so, Rari, I'm going to say a quick prayer over you, Queen, and then allow you to enjoy the rest of your week and the rest of your evening. Father God, I just want to thank you for Rari, for her tenacity, and most importantly, for her boldness, Father, for just allowing her to just be one of the vanguards to show others that there are ways that you can improve, and also be able to educate yourself when it comes to financial literacy and financial education. But they have to put in the work, as Rari said. And we thank you for using her to put in the work in advance to show others the tools, and even to push through some of the trials that she has even faced, for using her platform, for using her gift of teaching, and educating others, and even having a teachable spirit to be able to share and be transparent fully and vulnerably with others that she has in her community, and even those that may be watching that will join her community. I thank you for her ministry. I thank you for her business flourishing for the rest of 2021 going into 2022. We thank you for all of the audience that she's affected in a positive, uplifting way, even those that she may not know about that she's affected, and helping them just increase their knowledge, and also just to get farther along with their legacy building. And so we pray that you will bless her and her household, continue to bless her hands as she continues to use them to help and also pull others up. And we love you, Father. I thank you for this time that you've allowed her to share this evening, and I give you all the glory. And it's in Yahshua HaMashiach, the Christ's name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. I received the word.
Yes, it's been a pleasure serving with you. I know we're going to be in touch. I appreciate you again coming
Absolutely.
on tonight to drop these jewels for episode 163, credit hacks to use for real estate. Definitely, again, go and support VendHER on all social platforms, and even sow into her business and her endeavors that she is embarking on for the rest of this year. I'll see you soon, Queen, and you have a great evening.
Thank you, Julian. You as well. And good luck with everyone moving forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. I'm going to sum up just some final jewels for thought. You are in a great time and a great season this year, especially for those that are trying to increase their knowledge, and also those that are trying to increase what they've been able to accomplish for the first half of this year. The year is not over, you all. There's still time to get your to-dos, your goals accomplished for the rest of this year. And so just some final jewels for thought is make sure you are taking just as much time to increase your financial education as you are with your traditional education. A lot of times people are so quick to go after the master's degrees, the doctorate degrees, the certifications, the specialist certifications. But if you really look and peel back the layers of their finances, of their bank statements, of their debt to income ratio, they are outrageous. They are erroneous compared to how much work and how much time they put into traditional forms of education. The times for literally relying on that is coming to a close. Hopefully that you've been able to see the writing on the wall from listening to my special guest, Rory, break it down that the digital age of currency is here, and it's going to continue to move at lightning speed. And so what are you going to do to prepare yourself and your family for the transition before it hits? Are you going to be the person that's behind the 8 ball, that's talking to your children or your grandchildren, or even potential family members or relatives, and saying why you weren't able to dive in head first to learn what you can right now before it hits? Or are you someone that's going to do your due diligence and also follow through with what you say you want to do, which is to have a prosperous family and a prosperous legacy to leave behind? Too many people that look like myself, and too many people that may be men or women that are listening are sitting on the sidelines still when it comes to financial literacy and financial education. And so the time for that is over, you all. It is time to get off the sidelines and to get in the game. And so take a look at seeing what some of our services that we provide for the Run the Jewelz Show, and also for Smart Jewels Enterprises, which is our official business that powers the podcast show. So if you are someone that is a creative, Rory's a creative, I'm a creative, a lot of professionals and entrepreneurs, business owners that we have on the show are creatives too. And I'm sure you who are listening or watching us, you have something that you have been called to create, whether it is getting it on a digital platform, whether it is being out in front in festivals, whatever the case may be, you still need to have an outlet, whether it's a show, whether it's a podcast, even whether it's digital content. And so what we provide for Smart Jewelz Enterprises is definitely podcast and show creation, content creation services. Whether you are interested in starting your first podcast, or if you're just needing to fine tune your podcast, your show, or your live streams, even if you're wanting to get into the live stream space and multi-stream, we provide technical assistance, classroom management solutions for those educators out there that are trying to not just be on Zoom, but you're looking to explore different platforms that you can create courses and also content for your students or your clients in your community, or even if you're just wanting to improve and increase the visibility of your brand, we have what you need. And so you can visit Smart Jewelz, Jewelz, enterprises.org to see how you can sign up for a free discovery session with us this summer and also this upcoming fall season. Also, for those who want to become our first wave of patrons that we have for our new Patreon account, you heard me advertising that is also tagged in the comment section, how you can give and sow to our digital platform and podcast. And so there's 3 different levels: gold, diamond, and platinum. No seed is too small or too large, but these are only for our loyal subscribers and also loyal Smart Jewelz that we literally are able to give tirelessly to each and every week. We've done 3 seasons now thus far of RTJ. Each and every year and each and every season, we've increased with the quality of our production and also provided more higher level guests that are certified in their industry and also certified in their profession. And so if you're feel led, definitely feel free to sow a seed or to become a monthly patron with us. And finally, none of us like to spend more than what we budgeted or what we have to spend. And so we teach financial freedom strategies and also financial education resources and tools for Smart Jewelz Enterprises, soon to be Smart Jewelz Finance. And so if you are wanting to shine for the rest of 2021 when it comes to getting a plan in action to pay off debt, so that you can apply that money towards a business, an asset, or even towards being able to create multiple streams of income, as Rory talked about this evening, sign up for a free discovery session with the link that's in the bio, or you can also visit us at Smart Jewelz with a Z, enterprises.org. Next week, we do have our special guest for episode 164. He is an OG and also a VIP jewel to the RTJ show. We have Brother P that's going to be here next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, LinkedIn, and also on YouTube, speaking about the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. And you see, he got the gat, he got the shotty, the double barrel shotty for the body. That he literally is a Texas resident right now, and we know the saying "don't mess with Texas" because they definitely are not afraid of having the armed brigade and the armed arsenals with bearing arms. And so you're going to be in for a treat next week with my guest, my brother P, talking about his weapons of our warfare are not carnal episode. We're on all digital platforms that you can listen to a podcast, from Anchor to Google, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Pandora, Amazon, iHeartRadio. We're even looking to get on Tidal a little bit later this summer. And so definitely see what episodes that you may also enjoy, that you can listen to some of our previous episodes that we're releasing each and every Tuesday or each and every week, all the way from season 1. We're going into the vault and releasing a new episode each week until we get up to season 3, which is our current episodes. And so take a look at our podcast platform, Run the Jewelz Podcast, that is on all listening platforms that you listen to your weekly or daily podcast. And if you see the image, that's the right podcast that you can follow and also subscribe to. I'm just the host, King Jewelz here, just wanting to drop the jewels for another episode for RTJ. It's been a pleasure serving with you all this week. Definitely shout out to all of those that were tuning in for our live episode for the podcast. Definitely go and share this content, like and subscribe if you haven't already to us on all platforms from IG to Facebook to YouTube. And then now we're on LinkedIn. I'm excited, y'all, about this LinkedIn. We about to take this thing to another level by reaching a lot of the business professionals that we sought after reaching for our season 2 goals as we went into season 3 this year. And so LinkedIn is definitely where it's at. People sleep on LinkedIn a lot, but I'm about to even have some tutorials and some potential digital classes and workshops to talk about why you need to also be on LinkedIn. If you're on IG, TikTok, Snap, Facebook, whatever the case may be, LinkedIn definitely is where you may want to also cast your net going into 2022 and also going into the rest of this year. But for all of those that have been rocking with us this evening, take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, and it will take care of you leading into eternity. Make sure you're checking on someone, because someone that you may know may be trapped in darkness right now. But if you don't open your mouth, and also if you don't share the light that is within you, then again, you are wasting that light that you've been given. It's all about growing that light and spreading that light onto others. You can't keep every piece of that light that Yah has given you to yourself. And so make sure you are not being not being bashful, and also that you're not being selfish this season. And make sure that you allow yourself to shine like the bright diamond jewel that you have been created to be. Because someone else needs to feel and also needs to see the light that is within you. And so I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple here. It's been a pleasure again serving with you all this evening. Make sure you stay tuned for next week's episode, and I'll see you all again soon. So take care of yourself, and also make sure you shine bright like the bright diamond jewel that you are. Until we meet again, Yah willing, peace.